Okay.
It's our American friend. Okay, so yes, thank you very much, Debs, for inviting me to
You're more
speak.
than welcome.
Well, Monday. It's wonderful to see so many people, some lovely, beautiful, familiar faces, and some equally lovely new ones. So, how am I? We've just gone around the room and asked everybody how they're feeling. How am I feeling? I'm feeling under pressure, but I'm going to choose not to. I'm actually feeling a bit giddy today because I've been spending the day with just absolutely amazing people. And I get to spend the evening with amazing people as well. So I'm feeling very blessed. So yes, let me get into what we're going to do. At some point, I may need to ask you, Debs, to mute everybody. But we'll carry on for now while there's no feedback.
Okay, that's fine.
And people are very welcome to interject. I can't see all your faces, so you might just have to get my attention. But yeah, this session's being recorded because we know there were people who wanted to come, didn't they, Debs, who couldn't make it. And I'm going to be doing an exercise that basically people can access from the recording. And if you want to do it again, you'll be able to access it also. So I will tell you a little bit about myself, and then we're going to get into the work because I am a coach. So I always prefer to get people doing stuff and to have something to take away from the end of the session. So I'm a transformation coach, and I specialize in bringing emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence to leaders. So the kind of people I coach really, it's more a type of person than a job title, but I tend to coach a lot of leaders in business. So that might be people who own their own businesses or C-suite level board directors. And equally, I coach coaches and therapists, people who are leaders, so to speak, in their field. I do talk a lot about personal leadership because whether you are, literally managing people or not, we're all responsible for the leadership of our own lives. So I'm talking about self-mastery tonight. It's one of my favorite topics. It's much better than trying to aim for perfection. The self-mastery is about really working on ourselves, doing the inner work. And there's always quite a lot of work to do, I find. And the more you get into it, the more it's like peeling the layers of the onion, and there's more and more. So when we can work on ourselves, we can more powerfully and authentically influence or change our external reality. And I believe we have a lot more potential to do this than we can sometimes understand, and that is the inner magic, where we can all be very powerful. The things that kind of get in our way would be the limiting beliefs and the illusions and all the layers that we've had piled on us, or we've piled on ourselves over the years, in terms of our belief system. So whatever is going on in our external reality that we might not be so keen on is often reflecting back to us, which means we have to take responsibility for it, something that we need to integrate within ourselves. So external reality being in the form of relationships, income or finances, work situations, career or business, even physical health on occasions, is a mirror reflecting back to us what we need to integrate within ourselves, where we need to do the work. So to understand the meaning of what's being reflected back to us, because we can tend to get very stuck in sort of 3D ego kind of analysis, but to really understand the meaning of what is being reflected back to us, I have found through personal work that I've done for the last few years, and also the hundreds of clients that I've been fortunate to work with, is that we need to develop a level of spiritual intelligence. So this is quite challenging. It's challenging because we have a brain, but then we need a brain to sort of access the work. It's challenging because we have an ego as well. And we also have to have emotional intelligence because we're sentient beings. We have the most complex organism in our heads. The most complex organism in the universe is like the human brain, and we live with that in our heads. So it's actually very confusing to be a human at times. So my experience in developing this intelligence and how I work with my clients began really by understanding emotions and energy and emotional energy. And the key in life, in my opinion, is transformation. And that is by understanding our own patterns and mindsets so deeply, and then being able to interpret these things symbolically, understanding the symbolic meaning of things. And it starts with self-awareness. So we can do this more effectively when we're not getting stuck in traits like taking things personally, so we can't see the wood for the trees, or when we get stuck in mental churn, or, we all have a limited perception, we all have a limited view, we can't help that, it's down to our conditioning, our patterns. We could all live on autopilot throughout the day, really, without giving it a great deal of thought. That's how the brain works. So in this short time that we've got together today, I'm hoping, I'm just keeping an eye on the time as well, that we can get some traction in this space, at least to begin to understand ourselves a little more and to make some positive change in improving our lives, basically. So I've got some questions I'm going to pose for you. And just to remember as well that the point of self-mastery is that it's about the journey, not the destination. That's why I love self-mastery. It's about progress, not perfection. It's about learning on the journey. We have to be present to learn on the journey. Presence is one of the greatest leadership skills, in my opinion, and it's one that we lack so much in this world because we're overstimulated by external influences. It's probably busier and crazier than it's ever been. And I don't really think there is an end point. I think, once you get into this game of self-mastery, it's just absolutely ongoing. But I prefer the approach of not being desperate to get to the end, but rather being empowered by being on the journey and being empowered by our continuous commitment to self-improvement, because there's a lot more that we have access to that we perhaps don't know. It's always important as well to know that you are enough. We are all enough just as we are. It's really important to bring an immense amount of compassion on this journey so that we're not focusing on it from a point of insecurity, which was the story of my life until I had these unfoldings and these learnings, but rather to be excited about our undiscovered potential and taking responsibility and owning the power that we have to transform. So in my sessions, when I work with groups, they are highly interactive because I don't like to listen to myself waffle on too much, and I love getting people involved. And one of my greatest fears actually used to be working in groups, and now I facilitate them. I discovered it was one of my greatest strengths. So often our fears and desires, there's a interesting link between them. So it's worth getting into them all. So I recognize in this group, not everybody knows each other. So it's highly unlikely that in this short space of time, we're going to get that level of connection going on between us. So what I thought I would do is just lead this, and then you can watch it again, go through it again, ask questions at the end, rather than sort of forcing you to interact, because I'm also aware that it's being recorded and it's going out publicly, which does change the dynamics of what people feel happy to share. And I tend to do quite deep personal work because that's transformative work. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope it's the right decision for tonight. I'm going to have to go with my gut on that one. So what I'm going to do, it's going to be interactive in the sense that I'm going to be getting you to do things. So I would like you to focus on one area of your life that you would like to improve, or that you would like to see some improvement in. And if you've got a pen and paper there, I'm going to encourage you to write this down. So you just write down the area that you want to focus on this evening, knowing that you don't have to share this with anybody. It's totally private to you. So just to grease the wheels a little bit, I'll give you some examples. So it might be relationships, it might be physical health. Or when I talk about relationships, it might be a romantic relationship, it could be a business relationship, it could be family or friends. It doesn't matter, whichever one you would like to see the most improvement in. It could be a financial situation for you or your finances. It could be about career or your business. It might be about a hobby or an interest that you're developing, but make it really specific, because you can always use this tool with other areas. Okay, so just make a note there. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is, as you think about that specific situation or area, just write down, when you think about it, how does it make you feel? So I just want you to write down the feelings and the emotions that it brings up for you. And because you're not sharing, there's no pressure to come up with the, the right answers. It's your answers that matter. So it's really good to take this space to honor yourself and give yourself the space to consider these things. Okay, so once you've got that down, I'll then ask you to write down, if you were living in an ideal world, or if the situation was totally ideal, what would that look like? What are you looking for in that situation? And then I'm going to ask you to write down how you will feel when that's a reality. Okay, because emotions and emotional energy are gateways to discovering so much about ourselves. And what people fear the most is usually emotions, not the actual situation. It's how they feel or how they think they're going to feel. As generationally, typically, certainly in my culture, we were never trained how to deal with emotions. Most of us, in honesty, were trained to suppress them. And this causes all manner of situations, because emotions are massive behavior drivers. They're also the clues to so many things. And in my opinion, with my experience, I know I wouldn't say this across the board, but on most occasions, I find that anxiety is a gateway to discovering what we're insecure about. And that's all an inner game. And depression is a gateway to understanding what we are suppressing. And a lot of it comes down to sort of wearing this mask. So the key to self-mastery is, for that positive view that you've written down, in order for that to be a reality, we've got to take some responsibility. But we cannot control what we are not in control of, what we're not in direct control of. So in order for that to become a reality, the question would be, and this is for you to ponder, not for you to answer right now, it's going to go into an activity, so I need to keep on time, is, who would you need to become to be a match to that reality? That is a very big question. And you won't answer it in this session, but you'll get some clues with the activity that I'm going to take you into. Okay. So just to consider, what would you need to change, upgrade, or develop within yourself to be an energetic match to that reality? Right, so my plan is, I wasn't quite sure what we were going to do, but I know Deb's is ace at going with the flow. So we decided, basically, Deb's had the grace to let me decide that I would do a guided visualization / meditation for you now, one that you can replay back as well and enjoy again if you wish to, because we have, as you'll know, we've got different layers of consciousness, we've got different layers of conscious awareness. For the most part, we're operating from the conscious mind. However, to tap into a depth of spiritual intelligence, we typically need to be accessing other layers within us. We also have immense levels of intuition to access that most people are not even touching the sides of. So when I first started to meditate a few years ago, I could not meditate for 2 minutes. My mind was so driven by the ego. I was so busy in the head. I could not do it. And I also didn't see the point of it because I had a million things to do. So why would I sit there doing nothing when I had so much to do? So I was really tuned out to being present with myself and present with all that energy. And that's a whole other story. But these days, I have a solid meditation practice. I know it's not for everybody, but it is a game changer. And I can meditate for 40 minutes easily and have to bring myself out of it. And I've gone from trying to do it as a form of relaxation to having mystical experiences, visions, and all kinds of insights that have guided me very, very strongly. I still have a little battle with myself sometimes about doing more meditation, but it's so worth it. So what I'll say to you, because I don't know, well, I know some of the people, but I don't know what your experience of meditation is. So this is my sort of advice, if you like, is if you're a seasoned meditator, you'll have no issue with this. You'll just be able to slip into it. If you're not a seasoned meditator, you're probably going to be having more of a conversation in your head about why you're doing this and the battle around it. And that's okay as well. So whatever comes up, just be compassionate with yourself. You can always come back to it. You can just use it as a relaxation method. But what I'm hoping to generate is some strong intuition to come through. For that to come through, you have to be very present with the breath. You have to be very relaxed. So don't beat yourself up if nothing comes through, because sometimes the worst thing is having the pressure of thinking that you have to get something through, and that blocks it, because overthinking, analysis, busy mind blocks intuition from being able to come through. Anytime we're in anxiety or fear, which is a state I lived in all of my life, you can't get the depth of intuition through because you're in fight or flight, basically. So just go with it. If you can go with it, that is brilliant. Be kind to yourselves, and we'll just see what comes up. Although people probably won't be sharing in this, or maybe, Debs, we could turn the video off when I sort of finish and then go to some questions if people want to ask questions in the group. Whatever works is absolutely fine. And be prepared for things to come in a way that you don't expect. Sometimes people will have an image or a color or an animal or, a thought, something that comes in. Don't judge it. Just let it flow and see if you can interpret it symbolically. Okay, so hopefully this will be a good experience for you all, I hope. So I'm going to get into this now, and then this will probably take about 10, 15 minutes, and then I'll ask you a couple more questions afterwards. But what I'd like you to do is, when I bring you back into the room, so to speak, is just have your notebook there. I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to be able to jot down anything that's come up for you. So just try to surrender fully to this meditation and then make the notes afterwards. Okay, so hopefully everyone's all right with that. If you want to turn your videos off, you can do, as long as you can still hear. Is everybody muted, Debs, just so there's no feedback? Yeah, awesome. Okay, so let's get into it now. Okay. So I'm just going to invite you to get into a comfortable position, as far as you can in the space that you're in this evening. I realize you might not have been prepared for this exercise, so that's okay. Just take your time. Get as comfy as you can. And when you're ready, I'll invite you to close your eyes and just allow yourself to listen to me for a few minutes. And let's focus on taking some nice, big, deep breaths just to ease yourself into this relaxed state. Really focusing on your breath, feeling comfortable, supporting yourself in the best way that you can without holding yourself in any position, just relaxing. And focus on your breath. Feel this breath deep in your diaphragm. So feel your tummy rise as you breathe in and feel it drop as you gently exhale. You can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, or whatever is most comfortable for you. And just release any expectations or any pressure, because what will happen is exactly what's meant to happen. And in every situation, there is some learning to be taken. And that's what self-mastery is about, learning in the moment, rather than having any frustration or confusion. So just bring yourself out of your thoughts and into your breath and your body. Have an awareness about the body that you're in. This is the vehicle through your journey in life. And listen to the sound of my voice. So all your focus is going to be on the breath moving through your body and listening to my guidance. There's no need to judge anything that comes up for you. It doesn't matter whether it makes sense or not. Just allow yourself to relax and receive. Simply become more aware of being in your body. So maybe you might notice that you're holding some tension in your shoulders, and just drop your shoulders down. If you're clenching your jaw, just loosen that, part your teeth. Just notice any areas where you might be holding yourself unnecessarily, and see if you can slip further into surrender. And aim for some nice rhythmic breathing. And let yourself feel good in this space. Focus on your breath and bring some presence and relaxation there. This is your inner sanctuary. It's a place of love and compassion that you can hold yourself in. And in here, you can handle any emotions or feelings that come up, because you recognize they are just forms of energy that can be transformed. So you're strong and you are connected both to matter and to spirit in this sacred space. So I'll invite you now to gently focus on the area of your life that you wish to improve. And as you focus on this area, remain relaxed and bring your attention to the breath, especially if you find that your mind wanders off into thoughts. Keep retraining yourself to observe your thoughts and bring your attention to the breath. Now, as you are holding this image of your life as it is, the bit that you want to improve, you will have an awareness that this area is not quite how you would like it. So you can congratulate yourself and acknowledge that you have this awareness. That's where everything starts. And I want you to allow the emotions and feelings that this situation provokes to present themselves, knowing that you're in a safe and strong place, and you can observe these feelings as a form of energy. And I want you to, as you visualize this scenario, I want you to feel the emotions and see, no pressure, see if you can notice whereabouts in your body you feel this energy. And I want you to observe it, knowing that you're safe, paying attention to how the energy feels. Just have that awareness. Observe it from this neutral place. You can be neutral about this emotion. You don't need to be consumed by it. You can recognize that it's simply presenting itself to be transformed. You might see this energy as a colour or as a texture. Just notice what pops into your mind as you feel this energy in your body with curiosity, not judgment. Just allow and accept its presence. And now I want you to breathe into that area or into this energy nice and deeply, as if you were breathing love and compassion to this part of you. So you can imagine a white healing light, or simply your breath, coming into that area of the body and lovingly soothing this area. Keep taking your nice, lovely, rhythmic, deep breaths. And just simply notice what happens to this energy as you bring in that love and compassion. No judgment, no pressure, just see what comes through. Okay, now I want you to think about the area of life that you chose to improve and imagining the ideal situation playing out in your mind's eye. So you might have this as a movie playing or just as an image in your mind, whatever works for you. Just as if, imagine if everything was going beautifully and happily, if it was your dream situation, what this would look like. Just take a moment to visualize it. You might make it colorful, it might be in black and white. Just let whatever comes through come through. So imagine that everything is going just as you would like it. Everything's working out. There's no need to force anything, just sort of let it happen. It might be that you see symbols or colors or, something rather than an image, and that's all fine. Just let it come through. Let your imagination do its thing. And if this is all working out as you would like it to, this image, then let the corners of your mouth gently lift into a smile. Allow yourself to feel really, really good about this scene. I want you to pay particular attention to yourself in this scenario. So as you're watching yourself, imagining yourself in this scene, just observe who you are and how you are in this particular scenario. What does your behavior look like? What's your posture look like? What are you doing? How are you acting? How are you behaving? How are you moving? How are you communicating? What do you look or sound like? And as you observe yourself in this scenario, how is that person acting and feeling about themselves? Just keep this lovely rhythmic breath going. Just notice, what are you doing really well in this scenario? And you can consider what that version of you believes. What beliefs does that version of you have? What does that version of you really value about yourself, about others, about the universe? There's no pressure here, just simply observe whether anything pops up. And really enjoy this moment. You might have an image of what the environment's like, what the weather is if you're outdoors. And as you enjoy this scenario, I want you to connect with your body again and recognize what emotional energy you have in your body now. What does that feel like? Does it have a color? Does it have a texture? Does it have a symbol? And can you notice which area of your body you're feeling this sensation. It can be anywhere, there's no judgment. Typically, a lot of the responses I get are in the gut, you know, in the stomach, in the sacral region, in the chest, in the heart space, in the throat, and in the head. Some of the most typical ones. Just notice where it is for you. It's your truth. And how does it feel? Just relax and enjoy those sensations. Okay, take a few more deep breaths. Let's say 5 big deep breaths. And when you feel ready, you can gently open your eyes, gently bring yourself back to your room, and then we'll invite you back to the Zoom room as well when you're ready. So nice and gently. And you can just make some notes on your notepad about your experience, what came up for you. Look at the physical experience as well as the mental experience. And it's your experience, so there's absolutely no right or wrong. I can't see everybody, Deb. So are lots of people making notes? Yeah. You're on mute, but you've put you on the spotlight. Tricky, this Zoom business at times. So do you want me to round off for the people who are watching the recording so they've got something to use as like a bit of evaluation, and then we could turn the recording off and have a chat with anybody who wants to talk in the Zoom? Okay, you might need, do you want to put me back on the spotlight? Not that I love being on it. That's great, thank you. Okay, so for people who are watching the recording and for people here who might want to take these sorts of questions down to process, because this is not something that happens very quickly for people, although I hope something came through for you in that experience. So really, your evaluation process would definitely be about what physical experiences you had and where that emotion shows up in the body, because that's where the triggers